Joining Lauren Marks, please welcome Kristen Seaman, Vice President and Chief Sustainability Officer, General Motors, and moderator Brendan Vaughn, Editor-in-Chief, Fast Company.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, that Zoom video, just goosebumps. I mean, can I get that every Monday of my life? Start my week with something like that. Let's get into it. So, General Motors, Johnson & Johnson, huge organizations, complex organizations. The work that you do is essential, and yet it can also be challenging to sort of maintain authenticity in this kind of social impact work when coming from organizations with the scale and complexity of yours. Both of you work in these areas. So how do you ensure that this work has real and large impact while also navigating the complexity of your organizations and the pressures of the sort of the global nature of the approach? So Lauren, why don't we start with you?
Sure. I think core to social impact work for us at Johnson & Johnson is partnerships. It's partnerships with organizations like you. It's internal partnerships within our company where we're able to look across our employee base and figure out what skills and expertise do we have that we can offer to innovators and entrepreneurs like those here in the room today. It's external partnerships where we hope to connect entrepreneurs to others in this ecosystem who may be doing similar work or complementary work and may be able to help take these exciting innovations to scale. So I think those internal and external partnerships help us navigate the space and grow the impact that you all are achieving.
Thank you. Kristen.
I could just say ditto, but
Right.
That's probably not what you want me to say. But I totally agree with Lauren. It really is all about collaboration and how we work together to really move things forward and to have a larger impact. And I think you can have a much larger impact doing it together. I mean, at GM, our focus really is around innovation, jobs creation, and American competitiveness. And if you think about partnerships like we have here at MIT Solve, on the small spark of what this could really mean in the long term and the big impact it can have. You know, we're a company of engineers that are working every day for those innovations that are going to change the world. I'm an engineer by degree, even though I work now in a different role. But you know, it's that innovative spirit that I think drives us to find those technologies, the product innovations, et cetera, that can really have a big impact.
Yeah, that engineering background must really help you translate that effectively, you know. So let's talk about the value chains. So big corporations like yours, you wield huge value chains, right? So this can amplify impact, but it also comes with challenges. So what do partnerships look like when leveraging these kinds of chains for large-scale social good, and how do you ensure that equity and sustainability are seen as genuine and long-term priorities when you're building this relationships with innovators and their communities? We can keep the same order.
Sure.
Okay.
So I'll start by saying
I'll take my answer.
Actually, maybe I should mix it up. But yes, go ahead, Lauren.
I work for a part of Johnson & Johnson, the Johnson & Johnson Foundation, called Global Health Equity. So everything we do is sort of focused on equity and innovation, but it's also inherent to the work our company does overall. We try and ensure equity in the clinical trials we do as a business or in the supplier networks that we work with. But I want to go back to say that across our employees, much like Kristen shared, you know, you have engineers, we have health professionals, we have supply chain experts, we have patient insights experts and data analytic experts, the things that companies have by nature. And all of these people within our company want to contribute to health equity and social impact. And so we make those resources available through different secondment programs where we offer up our talent to innovators like you.
Yeah, I mean, so at General Motors, if you think about our supply base, we have well over 20,000 suppliers that we work with on a daily basis to put our products into production. And so if you think about our impact on the world and even just focusing just on our carbon footprint, the biggest impact we can make there is around our products and our transition to an all-electric future. which is technically it's 69% of our carbon footprint is the customer usage of our vehicles. But the next biggest piece is our supply chain. And so while we are well on our way in making an impact on our own, we can't do it by ourselves. And our suppliers are key in that future and in really having the solutions in place to be able to get to the future that we're all looking for of a zero emissions future. And so one of the things we've done is we've asked our suppliers to make their own commitments around sustainability, both from a net zero future impact as well as score on EcoVadis, which gets into the impact that they're having in the community. So EcoVadis is an organization that assesses companies on how they're doing things like fair labor practices, human rights, et cetera. And so we really want to work together with our suppliers on these solutions, everything from technology innovations, but really the impact that we're having in our communities around the world.
So you've both touched on this, but let's talk for a second about scale, because there's a massive difference in the scale of your organizations and the partners like Solvers and other kinds of smaller scale collaborations that you work with. How do you manage that? How do you kind of make sure that the balance exists there, that the smaller organizations aren't overwhelmed by the larger ones, and the kind of logistical challenges of working together?
So I think we all share the same goal of wanting to achieve social impact, whether that's health or sustainability. The way I like to think about it is, in addition to thinking about the impact, I also think about the value of doing something in partnership. And what I think partnerships can do is have impact that is either bigger, better, faster, or longer lasting. So those are the 4 metrics I think about to determine the success of the partnership. Can we grow the scale? Can we do it more efficiently? Can we make it last longer and more durable? Can we do it more quickly? And with organizations like yours, I think you really can contribute and lean in on figuring out how to do things differently, how to do things more efficiently, how to do things bigger. And then that's a nice partnership or a complement to organizations like ours, which can often do things bigger and at scale.
I agree with everything Lauren said. And I really do think it's getting people together, in whether it be in programs like this and initiatives like this that those innovations are sparked, or even from a supply-based standpoint. One of the things we've done is we've started a Supplier Sustainability Council to really start the conversations of how do we make this change? How do we learn from each other? How do we share ideas? And one of the great things that's happened is those suppliers, most typically we work with our tier 1, sometimes our tier 2 suppliers. It's really difficult for us to get deep into the supply chain. As you can imagine, those numbers would just multiply very quickly. Yep. But our tier 1 suppliers are now starting their own sustainability supplier councils. And so those ideas around how we show up in a community, how we are a good neighbor, how we launch projects around energy efficiency or renewable energy, and they're taking those learnings and sharing it down the supply chain. So that impact just starts to multiply. And so whether it's a partnership like this, or it's with an individual supplier, or it's in a community, all of those things and those lessons that we can learn and share with each other really just, again, continue to expand that impact.
Let's stay with you, Kristen. We're going to mix it up, get kind of crazy.
Now he's going to give me a hard question.
How has GM's approach, philanthropic approach, shifted or evolved as part of your broader sustainability strategy in recent years? Has it changed in response to, or in sort of concert with, shifting EV goals, economic headwinds, any other factors?
I mean, I think one of the beautiful things about sustainability, and particularly at GM, is I talked about our carbon footprint and our impact. We had a vision back in 2017 around zero crashes, zero emissions, zero congestion. And as we've developed our sustainability strategy, we set some pretty bold goals around being carbon neutral in our products and operations by 2040. And our aspiration to eliminate tailpipe emissions from new light-duty vehicles in the US by 2035. Those are huge goals, but they're not just sustainability goals, they're business goals. And so as you weave those strategies together, it really enables us to stay focused on our vision and on our future. So I I wouldn't say that it has changed. I think it's continued to evolve and really, doing the good things for sustainability is good for the business. And whether that's the engineer thinking about how the materials they're selecting for their parts, or it's what we're doing in a community, in an assembly plant that we're transitioning from producing ICE to EVs, and looking for those efficiencies and new technologies in the facility, it's really all weaved together. So it makes my job easier, but it also, I think, expands that impact because you're not making a choice. It's an and.
Right. So Lauren, let's talk just healthcare and data. I mean, as anybody who goes to the doctor knows, there is more and more data and more sort of tech involved in our interactions with healthcare than ever before, and it just feels like it's accelerating exponentially, far greater than even in recent years. So how do you balance the sort of the kind of pressures and both the opportunities and the pressures on healthcare workers in collecting all this data? And just sort of those folks who are ultimately responsible for delivering this equitable care.
So that tech really can make things much more efficient, as I just said. That's one of our key goals. But I want to emphasize that underlying that technology is the importance of people and relationships in designing with and for the communities that we serve. We work a lot in low resource settings, and I want to quote Dixon Chibanda from Zimbabwe, who says, people assume in low resource settings that they don't have resources. And that's not true. They have incredible talent and people. And we like to support those people to lift their voices up and design solutions, again, that take their voices into account. So we try to be really client-centered and user-centered in the technology that we design so that it serves the populations that we're trying to reach.
Thank you. Speed round, 30 seconds each. Kristen, I'm going to ask you both the same question. If you could leave the room here with one sort of nugget for a tweet or a thread or a post on LinkedIn, what would that be?
No pressure. I would say get started, right? I mean, that spark of innovation is really what is changing the world. And whether it's sometimes the smallest idea or the quickest idea can have the largest impact, and you can make a difference.
And I would say think about designing for scale. Take those nuggets of ideas and think about eventually how you can reach more people.
Thank you both. Fascinating conversation. Thanks to the audience for your careful attention. Kristen, I understand you have an announcement to make, so Lauren and I will leave the stage to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.